Well, since you guys are in my house, but I can't get rid of Dave.
He's trying, guys. He's trying, but I'm relentless.
As you guys could see, that's my address and block it out. But
Wow.
I think Kai got his too. I'm signing mine. I'm not signing Kai's though.
He's actually going to sign it this year.
I know I should be reading it, but this is the same contract.
You signed a few. Yeah, that's okay.
Initial there. Oh wait, they say right here, if I sign this contract, I will be Mr. Olympia. 20.
Oh, cool. We signed it quick then.
I'm not sure what yours say, but mine says that if I sign my name here, this is the 22nd day
Of April. Yeah.
of April. So you guys were the first one to see this.
Oh, you gotta hold that contract. Let me see. Wow. That is tight.
I did it, Ma.
Very cool.
So,
Very
to
cool.
SciTech Nutrition, thank you guys.
I know, they're great. This whole series was because of them and Muscle Insider, and I'm so grateful we got to do this. It was very generous of them and all the whole team over there. Definitely.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Shawn. Hi, guys, Dave Man Max 6, and we are at episode 6 of Shawn Rhoden's SciTech series, and we're in Shawn's place, which is really cool. He's about to eat his food right now. I'm bugging him while he's eating, and he just got back from yet another trip. Shawn, thanks for having us in your home, man.
Yes, sir. Welcome to my shrine.
I love that. It's so cool, man. Talk to me about this wall right here.
Shrine, Michelle put this up. She want me to remind myself of what I've done in my short-lived span as a IFBB Pro, and just to remind me that my hard work, no matter what the result might have been or should have been, that I've accomplished more than I could have ever dreamt of being an IFBB Pro, and sometimes I tend to forget that. I remember Jay said to me my first couple of times at the Olympia, "You're the new guy. You're still the new guy," and I always kept that in the back of my mind that hey, I'm the new guy, and I've just literally arrived in the scene, and so I'm never. I know what I've accomplished and what I've done, but I've never actually looked back and said to myself, I'm like, wow, and this is giving me an opportunity, sometime to just reflect up on, hey, I turned pro in 2009. The Olympia was my third pro show. I've been to the Olympia every year since 2011. I went from 11 to 3rd. I've been consistent, in the top half, the top, 5 guys in the world, since 2012. And, I'm very thankful, that I'm able to accomplish that in such a short period of time. So, I keep telling myself I'm the new guy, and I'm riding that, because Jay said, you're still the new guy. So, and as you guys know, I have a lot of respect, for Jay Cutler. So, Jay said I'm the new guy, I'm still the new guy, and I'm slowly climbing the ladder, and, I feel there's just so much more for me to accomplish. But this is a friendly reminder, when I'm sitting here sometime going, holy crap, okay.
I'm doing okay.
I've done, pretty well, so, got Arnold couple of years, even though Dexter got 7. I'm very happy to have that, back in 2012 after just start working with Chris, and of course, the biggest accomplishment is these, medals from the Arnold. And the first time I put these around my neck, I didn't realize how heavy they were. And in 2012, when I had all 3 around my neck, I was like, holy crap, these are really heavy. But I'm thankful, and hopefully I could continue with this accomplishment until I walk away from the sport. Um, my shrine.
Shawn, talk to me about what bodybuilding means to you. When you first got into this, did you ever think you could be Mr. Olympia? Did you ever think you could be one of the best?
When I started bodybuilding, it wasn't about wanting to be a pro bodybuilder. I was a soccer player and a swimmer in high school, and you know, my cousin John Lancaster dragged me to the gym to get me, stronger. So I kind of went along the first couple of times, and it really sucks. He told me, I remember the first day I was in so much pain after training, and he goes, "No, no, it will get better, and you got to continue to do it." So, I went back, and I was in even more pain. But a few years later, I was in an accident. I ended up cutting 9 tendons
Oh wow,
in
wow.
my hand, and ended up got a call saying my scholarship was lost in another department. So while rehabbing, through lifting weights and so forth, I developed this passion for bodybuilding because during my rehab, I realized that whatever I put in was what I was going to get out of it. If I didn't work hard enough, then I wouldn't have accomplished anything. So I developed this passion just for lifting, not so much for competing, but just taking that short period out of my day, dedicating it to myself, whether it's a stress release or whatever it was, and I just started enjoy going to the gym. Um, Still didn't have any idea that I wanted to be, a pro bodybuilder or, be Mr. Olympia. It wasn't until my dad got sick in 2002, diagnosed with lung cancer. Just got back from nationals and placed 14th. And had food poisoning a couple weeks before the show and just couldn't recover. Came back, my dad got sick, and it was a long year of watching my dad just literally just kind of fade away. They gave him a couple months to live. He almost lasted a year. And during that time period, I lost the desire to compete. I kept saying to myself, here I am, was so focused on refining and beautifying the outside of my physique. When your time is up, your time is up. There's nothing you can do. It doesn't matter how pretty, it doesn't matter how strong, it doesn't matter how great you look. When your time is up, your time is up. Because prior to that, I've never seen my dad sick. I've never seen my dad took a day off from work. And here I am looking at the greatest man in my mind that ever lived. That, hey, that was it for him. And I quit for 7 years, took up drinking, drank for a better part of 6.5 years, and could give two shits about bodybuilding. But
What'd you do for work?
I was doing kitchen design and bathroom remodeling.
That's a scoop. How was that?
The funny thing is, my dad was a carpenter and a mason, and he remodeled houses, and I used to go to work with him, and I couldn't understand anything that he did. If you'd have said to me, "Hey, Shawn, what kind of carpet is this?" I have no idea. Or, can you find a beam in the wall? The day my dad passed away, believe it or not, the day my dad passed away, everything that he had ever spoke to me about at work made sense. And I remember getting to my mom's house that night and looking at the wall and was thinking, wow, those molding are crooked.
It went into you, I
And I was
think.
like, what the heck? Like, the moldings are crooked. But, it just hit me that moment that everything that, because me and my brother used to go to work with him a lot, especially during the summer. And he would say, can you pass me that saw? Or, can you cut this 2x4? Like, whatever it was. And to us, it was just, okay, we're hanging out with Pops. There was
Yeah.
nothing else behind it. But, everything, for some strange reason that we spoke about ever since I was a kid, came to me. And I'm thinking, holy crap. Like, anyway, a friend of mine had a home remodeling store. And she called me up one day and she says, she wanted me to come and manage her store. And I was like, I have no idea, about what to do. But I the knowledge that my dad passed on to me came very handy, and I started doing everything from measuring a house, estimating carpet, hardwood floor, bathroom, kitchen design, like insert. Okay, I've never done a manual labor as far as the work itself, but when it comes to giving an estimate and so forth, for some strange reason, I was good at numbers also. So I did it for a while, and when my dad passed away, also he had a home remodeling business, distinctive design. So I continued with that tradition as far as what he was doing to carry on his work, and did it for I think even up until my second year as a pro. The market was good and money was great.
Wow. And then what clicked one day after 7 years? What changed in your mind saying, I'm going to go back to bodybuilding?
A friend of mine dragged me to a show. I remember he kept asking me for months, hey, when I'm working with these people, can you come and help me? But I had no desire for bodybuilding anymore. I'd lost it. And it was a show, I remember, 2008, before Thanksgiving. And I went to watch the show, and I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at these guys, and I'm saying to myself, man, these guys are small. And you know what? I was fat and out of shape. Twinkies was my best friend, and Little Debbie's, we were like this. I had Pizza Hut and Papa John and Speed Dial. But here I am, sitting at the show. I've been in the gym for 7 years. I've been dieting for 7 years, but I'm sitting there and I'm looking at guys that I knew on stage, and I'm thinking, man, these guys are so small. Like, what happened? And everyone started to laugh at me. They're like, what do you mean, what happened? I'm like, it's been 7 years. Like, at some point, if you're bantamweight, you should have at least move up to a lightweight, because bodybuilding, that means you're building your physique, not maintaining. And they were like, you think you could do better? I'm like, it's been 7 years. If I go to the gym and I lose 2 pounds, that's an accomplishment for me. So I took a dollar bet that I was going to do one show, just to make a point that bodybuilding hasn't changed since Frank Zane, Arnold, and Columbo. And they were like, okay, one show. And I was like, yeah, one show. I'm going to diet and train, for one show. So, I called my old training partner up, who's a female, Kina Eliassi. And we started training that January. And I just wanted to do one show. I was like, I don't care what show it is. I'm going to do one show. And I remember it was one of the hardest things I've ever done, man. I know they said, this sport is like riding a bicycle. Well, I wasn't even riding a bicycle when I came back. I had training wheels on just to make it, from day to day. I mean, a shoulder press and 25-pound dumbbells. I mean, I was literally
Wow.
shaking, and every inch of my body hurts. I was doing acupuncture 2 or 3 times a week just to make it.
Wow.
And but I was determined, because I just feel as if sometimes people complicate, what they're doing when it comes to bodybuilding. And I was like, if I could come back and do one show, but at the same time, you know what? It wasn't so much about the bodybuilding. It was, I drank for so long and drank myself into the hospital that
Wow.
I needed an outlet. And I knew what bodybuilding did for me before when I was rehabbing my hand. So I was like, you know what? This is great, So, but I need to tell you guys about this story. I'll get back to this. But when my dad passed away, I drank every day. I drank from sunup to sundown. And I think it was a way for me to numb myself, because I was never a drinker. I would go out with friends, but I would never drink. But for almost 7 years, I drank. When I say I would leave work, I would go to the liquor store. If it wasn't wine, it was anything from, Bacardi to vodka to Kvass, you name it. I would just drink myself sober at times until I woke up one morning, went to the bathroom, peed, and there was blood in my urine. And I couldn't figure it out. And I kept saying to myself, huh, that is strange. But again, I was like, I got to go to work. I went to work. Second morning, woke up, more blood in my urine. And I'm like thinking, like, did I hit myself? Did I fall? Like, went to work, came home, drank, went back out with a cousin of mine, drank some more. And it wasn't until maybe the fourth or the fifth morning that you would think after the first time I would have went to the doctor. This is what happened when you're drinking. Nothing makes sense and everything makes sense. Fourth or fifth morning, same thing. And there was even more blood in my urine. And I'm thinking, okay. So I remember I walked into work and I said to my boss, how do you know when there's a problem with your prostate? And he looked at me and he goes, man, go to work. Like, you're too young to be worrying about your prostate. I'm like, no, really. And he's like, why all this question about prostate? I was like, well, the past couple of mornings I woke up and there's blood in my urine. And he goes, did you go to the doctor? I was like, no. Did you go to the hospital? No. Because you need to go to the hospital. And I was like, you know what? I'll do it after work. He says, no. You need to go to the hospital like right now. And I got in my car, drove to the hospital, and they admit me for almost 2 days. Worst time of my life because I ended up having to quit cold turkey. And when I tell, I've told this story a couple of times, and I tell people that when you see in the movies when someone is going through whether it's a drug or alcohol withdrawal, that is for real. And I remember saying to myself, I would never drink again because it was like for 4 or 5 days of going through 1 minute you're cold, the next minute you're hot. 1 minute you're hot, the next minute you're cold. Sometimes it's both at the same time, throwing up, diarrhea, you name it. I went through that for about 4 days.
Wow.
But I was so determined, that, I couldn't believe how far I went from being someone that was somewhat held conscious being a bodybuilder to not giving two shits about whatever was going on. Where when I said that I drank, I slow night would be 10 drinks. And, but I was, I was so determined that the state that I was in, I realized it wasn't a great place. And, so that brought me back down to, January 2009, where, I was like, this will be the outlet that was going to keep me in the straight and narrow because I, went through that couple months before with trying to quit drinking and depression from my dad passing away. And, I trained my butt off, because I knew what it was going to take for me just to do one show. And I had no idea what show I was going to do, but there was a show in Delaware, and I didn't tell anyone. I got in my car the night before the show, just in case. Drove 2.5 hours, went to Delaware, and did the show, and ended up winning. And thanks to my good friend Freddie Smalls and his wife that was there, because I was cramping like crazy. Because I did everything drastic. I was going from an old playbook as far as what I should do and what I shouldn't do, and when you haven't done it in such a long period of time, you forget the small details. But anyway, while I was backstage, there's a guy, Chris Zimmerman from RX Muscle, that was taking pictures, and he said, you should do the North America. You could be a pro. And I'm like, why would I want to be a pro bodybuilder? Because the last pro show that I saw was the Arnold Classic. And I remember seeing Ronnie Coleman, Kevin Levrone, Shawn Rhoden, Chris Cormier. flex wheeler. In my mind, those are pro bodybuilders. Shawn Rhoden was 212 pounds when he won Delaware. So, for anyone to be saying, "Hey, you could be a pro bodybuilder," it was like a joke. Like, there's no way. So they post something on their forum saying, "Hey, what do you think about this guy?" And the response was overwhelming, where everyone was like, "Hey, yeah, you should do it. He looks great." And I remember sending some pictures to Shawn Rhoden. He was like, "Kid, where have you been? Yeah, man, you could be a pro." And I was laughing, because again, I could not see myself as a pro bodybuilder. My entire life, I've always wanted to be a soccer player, and there's one thing that I knew I was good at was football, soccer. I could do anything with a ball. And here I am now, people saying I should, do the North America, could be a pro card. I could get a pro card. And back then they were giving away one pro card.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
that's when the overall.
Think about that. But anyway, it was a couple weeks after the Delaware, and I figured I have nothing to lose. Nothing whatsoever. I already have shown everyone that, hey, bodybuilding is always going to be bodybuilding. Dumbbell is a dumbbell. Barbell is a barbell. Protein is protein. Carb is carbs. So I took up the challenge and, again, drove by myself 7 hours to Cleveland. And I forget to book tanning.
Oh, man.
I forget everything. All I knew was, hey, listen, my application was in. I'm going to drive up here the day before the show, and I'm going to see where I fit in. If I place 15th, if I place 14th, if I didn't place, listen, I went far and above of where I originally started out. And I had to go in a forum to find someone that does tanning the night before the show. And I went out there to prejudging, and there were a couple of pictures of me online sitting backstage with my meal. And I watched every single weight class weighed in.
Oh, God.
I was just sitting on the floor going, man, these guys are huge.
How much did you weigh, Shawn?
212 pounds.
Still.
5'9" 3/4, 5'10".
Wow.
And I'm just sitting there looking at these guys going, and it wasn't until after everybody was done weighed in, I remember someone saying to me, "Aren't you competing?" And I'm like, "Man, these guys are amazing." And they're like, "Don't you need to get tan?" I'm like, "Oh, crap." That's when I went back to my hotel and was like searching on the internet. Because back then, 2009, I didn't even think I have a GPS.
Nope.
I had to print my direction.
Yep.
And, so I went back to the hotel. I was in a forum looking around, trying to, figure out who was doing tanning, and found this lady, Mary Hobbs from Texas. That was I had people tanning at the show, and she ended up tanning me. And funny story: the morning of prejudging, I'm standing on stage, and heavyweight class was like 41 or 38 of us, and to call the top 5 guy out, I heard my number, and I was so excited. I was like, "Yes, wow, first call out." Whatever that is, when the first call out, this is great. And I went out, was posing, and I remember they say, I think it was 198. I said, number 198, step back. And I stepped back, and for some strange reason, that didn't ring a bell to me. So I stepped back, and I wiped my hand, and they keep calling guys up, but they had my group of guys still on stage. And it bothered me because I'm thinking.
You didn't think it was good. I thought it was,
like, okay,
wow.
like, what's going on? Like, did they forget about me? And I kept trying to work my way up, to the side where the judges could see. I keep fixing my number, so the judges could see me. And I had got upset because I'm thinking, holy shit, they forget my number. Like, why did they pull me out? And as they're like, okay, guys, see you guys tomorrow for the finals. I'm walking off stage and I had my head down and I'm like, man, I can't believe they forget my number. And this guy was like, "You're such a fucking ass." And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, forget your number. I'm like, yeah, my guys were still out because they called me and 5 other guys and then pulled me back. And I'm thinking, but they kept my guys out. Like, that was a group of guys I was with. Like, I don't understand. Like, didn't I fit in? Like, like, what the hell is going on? He goes, dude, you could have won the whole show. And I'm like, what? I'm like, how can I win the whole show when they forget my number? He goes, you're an idiot. And he walked off, and I'm like thinking, how can I win I was like, you know
Wow.
what? I'm just going to focus. Maybe I could work my way back up. And they made a mistake. And I went back to my room, and I was panicking because I was like, maybe I need to be tighter. And my diuretic was dandelion tea, parsley tea, and black coffee. So I'm in my room all night, like dandelion tea bags.
Oh wow.
Like, okay, I need to be tighter. I need to be tighter. And I remember getting back to the show, and I'm laying backstage, just terrified. Like, okay, will they remember my number this time? And I remember Big Sean Allen headbutt me as I was warming up. He walked over to me, and I mean, when I say headbutt me, I'm talking like pow. And he goes, "Don't let them take this away from you, man." I'm like, thinking, dude, that really hurt. Like, what do you mean take this away from you? He goes, "You're gonna win the whole show." And I'm like, okay, you know what? Just go out here, wherever the chips may fall, roll with it. End up winning the overall, and I had no idea what it was being a pro bodybuilder.
Wow.
I literally packed my car up and drove back to DC. Like, okay, people like, congratulations, now you're a pro bodybuilder. What you gonna do? I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I don't feel any different.
Yeah.
I drove back home 7 hours. Getting calls like one after the other. Like, so how does it feel being a pro? I have no idea because for me it was unexpected.
Right.
I was happy that I was able to accomplish something. I don't know what it was, and it was just a long ride back home because I wasn't even thinking about being a bodybuilder. I was, the things in my mind was I wish like my dad was able to come to the show, and I wish so many things were different, but it was a long ride home. I got home, and I was like, now what? I wish when we turned pro, there was a handbook that says, now you're pro.
Hear what to do.
Hear what to do.